Hello world, and welcome back to Minecraft Memoir. This is episode 51. In the last episode, we did our world tour. We ran around for our world for about an hour and showed off all of our builds, some of our lore. So if you haven't seen that, I encourage you to check it out because it'll show everything in the world we're about to enter. In between episodes, I did a little bit of work. I cleaned some things up that I kind of forgot for the world tour, as well as started a few secret projects. In today's episode, we are going to get into the first update of Minecraft Beta, Minecraft Beta 1.0. This is the first update after Alpha 126. So again, very, very sad that we are out of Alpha, but we'll be in these early beta versions for a while, and it's pretty similar. You can see it says finally beta. Fun fact, that splash text actually stays there. It's the only splash text you get in this version, so that's pretty cool. And we'll look into some of the features of beta, throughout the rest of the episode. So yeah, look at that. That looks really good. So yes, starting out here, you can see that I'm at the giant tunnel. After I finished the world tour, okay. After I finished the world tour, I was looking at this and I was like, I really just don't like how I left it unfinished. So this was my first off-screen work. I cleaned it up. I think it was right around here, or maybe it's a little further down. But it goes all the way. And I was thinking about this space and looking at it, kind of objectively. I don't know if this would be a great spot to put a railway. That's what I was initially thinking, but just having it on this diagonal, I feel like that's going to be too jumpy with your camera while you're on the minecart. So we'll probably have this be some sort of foot pathway, but it just feels not good enough to be a foot pathway. It just feels like this would be wrong just to have people walking through, So I was thinking, what if we turned this into a semi-automatic sugarcane farm? I was thinking about it. I think I might have suggested this actually a while ago. But since it slopes down like this, and each of these, steps is 3 wide, I could have a water stream flow down from the ceiling and then go that way and that way. I might need 2 of those actually. But we might mess with the design still. We could have water stream going that way, and then sugarcane here and here. And then if that water was controlled by a single source block, I could pick that up and all the sugarcane would update after it's grown. So pretty much the only thing I'd have to do in here is replant that sugarcane. I think that'd be a good idea, but I think it's a lot more complicated than I'm making it sound, especially with those water streams. On a diagonal, I'm not sure how that's going to work, so I'll have to do that in my test world. But for now, let's head back towards our base, and we will get more into this Beta 1.0 update. So we're going to get into all of the Beta 1.0 features in a little bit. However, there are a few things I've noticed already. Firstly, my cape is on my skin. I didn't notice that. This is for migrating your account from Mojang to Microsoft. That was like a year or so ago. I think this is just from the proxy connection to the skin servers that I have through the Betacraft launcher. That's the launcher I'm using right now instead of the default Minecraft launcher. But that's pretty cool. I think that also means that my skin is actually coming from the skin servers as well, instead of the texture pack. So, pretty cool. Also, I think my cape works well with my shirt, which I didn't check, but I'm glad it does. Also, I've been getting a bit more frame lag here. You might not notice, I can't tell, but we have way more chunk updates than usual. I'm going to have to mess around with my settings and see how I can get that to go down a little bit, because my frames, you can see it went down to like 90, and it's jumping around between like 90 and some high hundreds. So I want it to be a little more stable. And then the last thing, I went to put my items in this chest here so we could get started. The top 2 rows of my inventory here, they work fine. However, this row and my hotbar, I don't know if you can hear me clicking, but I can't like pick anything up. So that's apparently a glitch in this version. It looks like it'll get fixed in the next one, but that means I'm going to be dealing with this for probably another 25 episodes, because I'm pretty sure we're going to do 25 for this update. So, time for a history lesson. We are going to get into the changelog for beta 1.0, but particularly I actually want to note the dates first. So Alpha 126 was released on December 3rd of 2021, so about 12 and a half years ago, kind of crazy. And then Beta 1.0 was released December 20th of the same year, which means Alpha 126 and Beta 1.0 are only separated by 17 days. However, my first Alpha 126 video came out August 18th of 2021. It is almost the beginning of July 2023, so just under 2 years I was in Alpha 126, which I think is really interesting. Alpha 126 only actually was around for just under 3 weeks. So it shows, how long we're playing in each of these versions. A lot longer than they existed IRL. So let's get into those other changes. I wanted to point out all of this information is coming directly from the Minecraft wiki. So if I forgot anything, I apologize. This is just the source of information I have available to me. So hopefully it is complete. But with that said, let's get into it. I'm just going to go down the list here. So the first thing that was changed is server-side inventory is finally added. So if you're playing on a server in this version, your inventory is finally saved, which is pretty good. Another change is that tooltips were added to the inventory, and that is for both server and client side. So that means if I hover over an item, we finally have some names for them, which is pretty good. I've got some other items in my inventory here. I wanted to point out, this isn't perfect yet. Egg, I'm pretty sure it says eggs, plural. Gunpowder is named sulfur in this version. Sugarcane is reeds, that's why I call them reeds. Music discs don't have their title next to the music disc. Usually it'd be like music disc -11. I think this is 11 or 13 maybe. And mushroom, this would be brown mushrooms, but not in this version. Still a beta implementation of tooltips, which is pretty cool. So support for skins were added. I noted that my cape was finally here. That was actually an addition in Beta 1.0, support for capes, which were initially called cloaks, which is pretty cool. And it also added support for like Deadmau5's ears and all of the cool special skins in this version. We got some new splash texts. There were actually, it looks like over 10 splash texts were added. But I'm pretty sure in this version it's locked to the finally in beta or just finally beta splash text. There were a few changes. So if I were in a minecart and I had opened this chest, before I would just stay in this chest inventory, even if I were hundreds of blocks away. But now, if I open this chest and I think there was a smoke effect, it looked like there was a mob. But now, if I move too far away, I will exit this inventory. Another thing, I can no longer store stuff in my inventory like this. That's really sad because it was just an extra few slots. So kind of unfortunate. We'll have to figure out a different storage method. Now we're just down to like, regular default inventory like everybody else. Even up to current modern day versions, we will only have this inventory. Kind of unfortunate. Another reason why I've got eggs, you can throw them now. Oh, you can throw them. That's actually kind of cool. I didn't know it could pop the wool off of a sheep. But if you throw enough, yeah, it spawns an adult chicken. That's pretty interesting. I thought it would spawn a baby. So that's pretty neat, pretty neat. Another thing, oh man, okay, so I'm very excited about this. Leaf decay was finally reintroduced. I had to run over to my farm here, so I'm not 100% sure how well it works, because it seems like in other versions, leaf decay is still kind of toggled a bit. But I wanted to try something out. I can't harvest one of these trees because, you know, the adjacent trees won't let the leaves decay. Gotta get somebody on their own, like this one. So you'll notice that I've got my graphics still as fast. I was messing around with everything, and it just seems like fancy graphics is going to get my game just a little too choppy. So I'm thinking that we'll actually only do like 5 updates in beta 1.0, and then the next version, which I think is 1.0.1, maybe that version will do like 25 updates in. Just because this version is so unstable, and I've heard a lot of bad things about this version in particular, we're not going to stick around too long if it's, you know, really that torturous. It turns out Notch updated the game a day after he released this version. So really it wasn't around for a long time because it was very unstable. Let me chop this tree down. Huh, I think I saw one disappear. Maybe not. Yeah! Oh man, that's so good. Finally I can harvest my trees and not have to, you know, burn all the foliage after. Oh! Our first sapling. Wow. I'd just like to thank my friends and family, the academy. As far as other changes go, that's pretty much it. There are a few other minor things. For instance, in the inventory here, these slots used to have little outlines of what armor piece was supposed to go in each. Those were gotten rid of. Now they're just regular slots. A few splash texts were modified. I did mention how in this version, the only splash text you can see is this finally beta. That's actually not true. You can also see the Merry Christmas and the Happy New Year ones, which is pretty cool. I didn't know that. But it makes sense. This came out around December of 2010, like the end of December. So Notch was probably gearing up for the holiday season. And that's honestly it. There are a few fixes, like some random bugs. There was a bug with the /kill command. And in the server side of things, if you drop the tool on the ground, it used to heal the durability. That is no longer the case. We never got to reap the benefits of that because we've always been in single player. But yeah, that is something we would have been able to do had we been playing with friends, which I would have taken complete advantage of. We would have been using this diamond pickaxe until I forgot and accidentally broke it. So I have just been informed of some great news. Both of my roommates are going to be gone for about a week here, which is really good. I can get some good recording done. The only problem is that I have like no inspiration for the rest of this episode. It's really unfortunate. Like, I don't know. I guess I was just in the mode for preparing for that, episode 50 world tour. And now that it's over, it's hard switching back to like being creative. In that world tour, though, we did suggest like making another windmill right here. So I was thinking we could do that, maybe over there. So yeah, there is a little bit of progress I wanted to show you. It's very minor. Over here, though, I had this like cobblestone border up this path for the longest time. It was a potential building. I was thinking we could do that for this episode, so I tested it out. It was like right here. I don't know if you remember. Uh, it was going to be for a random building. I didn't have like an assigned interior yet. So I built up the foundation for it because that's what the cobblestone was going to be. And it was just like too much cobble in this area. It was going to have to be, you know, probably at least that high, maybe a block lower. But from like over there or anywhere in here really, it was just too much. So instead, I kind of defined this pathway a bit better. I'm gonna have to put in like cobble and gravel, but it goes up to that door because we do actually use that pretty frequently. So right here, I think we'll put in like a little side garden. That seems to be what we're doing for all these like little areas, but I don't know. It makes it look nice. And I think like a water feature would be good because there needs to be a little blue in this area. So, pretty interesting thing I found here. When you play in this version on fast graphics instead of fancy, leaves are actually like solid blocks. So let me show you here. All of these trees I have placed a torch on top of because mobs are spawning on them for some reason with fast graphics. I don't think they used to do that with fancy. It's like I'm gonna have to build across anyway. Yeah, so like, if I go to fancy here, can't place a torch. If I go to fast, I can. Ooh, yeah, but sometimes it glitches. Like you saw my mouse kind of do a double click there. Sometimes it like does a stutter anytime I place. I think because the game just doesn't want me to place on top of leaves, like in general. But for some reason, when I change the graphics, it's letting me. So I've gone around and placed torches on a lot of these, but not all of them. I also measured the height of our windmill here, and it is 28 blocks from the bottom floor to the top of the fan blades, which is also build height. When I'm standing on top of it, it is 129.62. So I think the floor is 101, and subtract them. So we're going to probably mimic that height. I wanted the fan to be a bit bigger, so if I could get a few extra blocks lower over there, that would be nice, but it looks like it's gonna be higher. So we might change up the design, maybe like, you know, have it be a really tall building, but the fan blade is like kind of lower down. That way we can make it a little bigger. I'm not sure. So I've done a little bit of work, but you can see I'm at the other windmill here, taking references. I've taken a few screenshots. Ooh. You know, I've noticed a bunch of my fence posts are on top of dirt, not grass, because the grass doesn't grow. So while I'm talking, I'll let that kind of do its thing. But yeah, I've taken a few screenshots, but every time it seems like I just haven't taken the right screenshot for the specific thing I'm building. So looking over here, I've done some terraforming to make sure there's enough land for this. Ooh, I need to put a torch on there. But here's how we're looking. I've rounded this off a lot more, and I think that actually looks really good. I noted that I described this, like the body of this, as super tall, but actually this will be relatively short comparatively. I don't think it's going to have like this really big ring around. Although I have been referencing that because I think I'm going to do the beams here pretty similarly. And that actually kind of determines where I put the fan. It's like if you look in, if I actually go in, I've kind of built in like a main bisector to the hexagon that this, you know, whole windmill kind of follows. And the fan is parallel to that bisector. So I need to, oh no, okay. Well, I was too focused on building, or narrating. So I need to keep that in mind for when I'm building the fan. Even though I'm not planning on placing it in the same spot of the body, it'll be important for the regular build aesthetics. So I wanted to show a little progress update here. I did some building, and you can see I've got like a decent amount of this upper section built. So a few things. I said I wasn't going to do this rim, but I changed my mind. I think it's pretty cool, and I like this little like walking platform. When we put in the windmill blades, we'll probably have to get rid of like this whole section here, but that's fine. At the very least, we can have like this U-shaped platform around. And I'm currently trying to figure out the top sections because I don't think I'm going to follow that design exactly. I want the cap to be a little smaller, and I want it to be a bit rounder too. I might also change out some of the resources I use. I'm thinking maybe white wool or brick, but I'm not sure yet. That would be kind of cool for like a bottom section though. Some red brick. Yeah, so I'm not doing that exactly, but I'm following it pretty closely here. And if I go down, since the doorway on the other one is on one of these walls, I was able to just like punch through and it was fine. But for this one, the doorway would be right where a beam normally would be. So I did this sort of thing. And I think that looks pretty nice. I've gotten the fence done out here. I figured I'd get that out of the way. It was pretty painful. So I think in the future I'm going to expand out this platform. And by in the future, I think like once I'm done building up there, and like I guess everything else, I'll put like a little bit of dirt where it can go, but I'm waiting for like the fan to be put in. And then, yeah, I did a little bit of terraforming, so I think that looks good. All right, cool. So I've just finished doing this upper stone section. I had to kind of run out and look at it from the side, and I decided that this portion was just a little too short. So let me run down so you can see. I haven't put on the blades yet. That's the next step. But yeah, there it is. I think that looks a lot better actually, proportionally. So I might use that in future designs. So now I think the fan blade is going to go like right there. Kind of centered maybe a block up from this platform. So I need to get rid of like this whole section here. And I guess I need to redo the interior, huh? Because usually I do that like big wooden post all the way through, but I don't really need to do that if it's not attached all the way at the top. So let me get on that. I also need to like put some mossy cobble in, but that's for the end, like when I do the dirt here. And I also need to do some supports because realistically, this is just not very like well supported. You know, a third of the building is only supported by like this portion of dirt. So we'll clean that up. I'm just over here taking some reference images. The sun is rising, which is good. It's kind of embarrassing, but I've actually played through an entire day cycle just trying to record this one clip. It's so frustrating, but like every time I'll either slip on a word or mobs, specifically cows. Like there was a cow under this bridge that, you know, suffocated and died. There was one in a cave below me, some on there that I couldn't see. Just so frustrating. So hopefully this is the one. Right now, I'm looking at this fan because this is like the most complicated part of any windmill. Most of the blocks, I think, are going to be the same from this fan to that one, but the size will be different. Now, this one is 33 blocks from tip to tail, so that's 16 blocks per blade, and then one in the middle. I'm thinking for this fan, though, you can see right there will be the middle. I want it to be more like 50, maybe even 60 blocks, so that'd be like 20 to 30 per blade. I don't know. I'm thinking that I'll do like a big fan somewhere else. So this isn't going to be the largest one in this area. I also need to fix the roof. It's getting like too mushroom shaped. This one's a bit pointier. I think actually those blocks there, I was wondering why like the body of this one was so short. I think I had to make it shorter to give a couple more blocks up there because otherwise it just wasn't pointy enough. So looks like this is an issue I've had in the past and I've just forgotten. I wanted to point two other things out. Very minor, but I put a door in here. It was just getting too much. Frequently I'll like run through this archway here and then jump up and then come around and then I'll do some like awkward parkour trying to jump like from here to this fence post and then over. Of course I got it first try there, but I figured I'm not going to do that every time. So I put in a door here. It's kind of ugly right now, so I'll have to fix that up, but it's much more convenient. And then over this way, I received a few critiques on the world tour, which I really appreciate. Honestly, I appreciate those more sometimes than like really nice comments because I don't know, like I really appreciate people enjoying my world enough and caring enough to want to tell me like things that are wrong. Ooh, that's a thing that's wrong. So yeah, one of my friends played on my world. He is not as much of a Minecrafter as probably the average viewer of this channel, but he was excited that I released my world. You know, I'd been talking about it a bunch, so he said he would check it out. And while riding through, he got off his minecart and fell through right here. So yeah, I have just like this small space. When we had that rollback over here, I guess I never filled in this area. So, ooh, big lag spike. Also, I don't know if you find the noises I make when there's a lag spike entertaining or not. It's not like purposeful, it's kind of reflexive. Oh, do I not have enough blocks? Okay, I'll just use cobble. But yeah, I do that anytime there's like a major spike. I'm sorry. So I'll fill this in. Use the rest of the dirt. Cool. So I figured I'd get that done because it was kind of an annoying thing. I'm trying to fill in all of these holes and I just don't know where they're all at. Okay. It is late. It is very late. It's almost 2 a.m. And I am exhausted. As you can tell, it's at the end of the episode here. I was trying to squeeze out one last drop of creativity, trying to get this project finished because we haven't really done a whole lot else in this episode. And I just can't. I am way too tired. I've made way too many mistakes. I've died way too many times. Obviously, look at my health bar. That's like how I feel right now, IRL. So this is as far as we got. Actually, it looks pretty good. This is the only fan blade we actually finished, though. This one needs some torches, and these two need to just be finished. But I think it looks good. And there's also, of course, some cosmetic issues and some mistakes I need to fix. So I'm gonna run over here. Fan blades looked a little thin, but I think that was just where I was standing. Yeah, I think that'll look a lot better, especially like from a distance directly on. Once it's finished, that'll be great. So I do need to do a little bit here in the middle, I think, because I think it's just a little too thin. But yeah, all in all, pretty good. So let me run up here. I do apologize, though, for there not being a whole lot in this episode. It's the first one since the world tour, so we're kind of getting back in the swing of things. Hope you understand. And the next one, we'll finish this up, and then we might work on a third windmill, or we'll do something else, because I do have some other projects in mind. One thing, I know we did a bunch of path building already, pretty recently, but I've been running up to that windmill a lot, and there's a very obvious, like, natural path here that I think I'm gonna, like, actually make a path. As well as one for up here, because there's no actual way to get to this windmill as of right now. I think I'll have it go this way, because even though we're getting up from that waterfall, it's just a little too tight there. So unless I can make a staircase work, I think we'll have, like, one go around this way. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and let me run over here. Okay, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care.